I'm spectating VGL Jackie playing Ezreal, and his support is a Taric, and the matchup is going to be Ezreal Taric versus Vayne Alistar. So the way this matchup is going to work is you really want to be able to shut down Vayne in lane, but Alistar makes it pretty hard for you to engage because his disengage potential is pretty large. So you're going to want to have jungler help a lot because it's actually important that you shut down Vayne, otherwise she's going to be able to be a very strong hyper carry late game. But Alistar is pretty weak right now. His W range is not that great, and Taric is pretty good against Alistar. So if you can get a good stun off on Vayne in the very early levels, especially level 1 before Alistar has his knockback, you should be able to get a lot of good damage on. And early on you should just be trying to poke down a lot with your Q and with auto attacks where possible. You should notice that Vayne has Ignite as opposed to Cleanse, which means that she's not going to be able to cleanse an Ignite or an Exhaust or a Taric stun, so you should take advantage of this fact very early and try to get good damage off on her without being able to be repositioned by Alistar. And your E is very good for this. It instantly allows you to reposition yourself, so you can position so that you're able to attack Vayne without being in Alistar's engage range. Pretty much regardless of where he's standing, unless he's directly on top of Vayne. Good to help your jungler at the beginning. You should have been a little bit quicker out of base at the very beginning of the game, and just walked to mid lane to watch out for an invade and just be present on the map. Let me turn it back to directed camera. Just like, don't be sitting in wall for too long. Ask your support to help your jungler. Like if you, Evelyn is able to leash blue, but I guess leashing isn't so important anymore. But just try to get your entire team to help your jungler, even if they're not doing it. Like if someone other than the jungler asks for the jungler to help, then the jungler is likely to help. So Taric pre-warding here seems a little bit not worth it, but that's okay. You could have gotten an auto attack off on Vayne, you could have gotten another auto attack off on Vayne. You know now that she's utility spec'd, which means that her trading isn't going to be as strong as it could be, but she does have the additional sustain from having the extra biscuit. So this Shen gank, to be honest, I might not have warded for it. But you see him, you should flash out immediately. Just immediately flash out. You see him, he should not even be able to get the taunt. Ignite Vayne. Yeah, if you ignited Vayne, you probably would have been able to get a kill on her. So this is pretty bad. Vayne just got first blood, and you didn't get anything. Your support got a kill, which is good. If you ignited Vayne, I think she might have died to the tower. If someone flashes under tower at you at level 1 like that, you should just ignite them. If you had ignited Vayne and Taric had exhausted Vayne the instant that she flashed on her tower, if both of those things had happened at the same time, you wouldn't have died and you would have gotten the kill on Vayne. Because the armor debuff, assuming he's running that, the armor debuff should have been enough plus your ignite to make the tower kill her. So now you're pretty far behind in lane, so you're just going to want to be farming, which is not great against Vayne, so you should be reiterating over and over again in your chat about how important it is that your jungler help you. So you really need the help in bot lane. And again, like, that gank could have been avoided completely just by you flashing out immediately. And I might have gotten one ward when you went back. It's good to have a lot of potions. It allows you to trade. It's also good to have wards, especially against an Alistar. You do not want an Alistar sitting in a bush with you unable to have any vision of him, so just get another ward. That's a little bit far forward to be Alistar. Excuse me, Alistar could have flashed and then W'd against the wall, and then Vayne could have condemned you, and that would have been bad. I don't know why that Q just missed. But you really want to be farming. Like, you don't want to be engaging with Taric. That was silly to Ian like that. You knew that his exhaust was still up. You were not likely to be able to kill him. Taric had no mana. You were Eing, like, this pile of minions, you were Eing into a lot of minions, and you were taking a lot of damage from minions, and you were already pretty low. You're already behind in levels because because you died. So now you're level 2, and Vayne is level 3, and Vayne's probably going to be level 4 by the time you get back to base. You don't need to follow up on your support's initiate if it's going to be a bad initiate and your support isn't in any direct danger. So like there he got W'd out of the way, and Taric actually should have gone back and gotten wards. He doesn't have any wards right now, and he also doesn't have any fast attacks, so he really should have gone back and gotten a ward. If you have the money, you should have gotten a Doran's. The Vamp Scepter is good sustain, but you really want to have more health so that you can't immediately die. And like work on your last hitting. You shouldn't be missing that many creeps. And if you have trouble with the ranges of your spells, then try turning off Smartcaster a little bit until you start to get a better sense of what your, like exactly how long your 1100 range Q actually is, so that you don't miss CS because you're just slightly too far out. But you should just be asking Jax for ganks right now, and just trying to farm, trying not to fall farther behind because you're pretty far behind right now. Although Vayne hasn't bought yet, so if you can be the same level as her, you're technically ahead of her in items right now, so you might be able to do something. I don't actually know how they knew that Jax was coming just then, but I guess they probably knew that Jax was coming, or they were just backing off because they saw that they were pushing tower, and there's no reason to stay in lane when you're pushed pretty far to tower and you don't really know where the jungler is. If you're not actually going to get any last hits. Like, that was just another farm that you missed. You missed out on also, like, just like work a lot on your last hitting. If you need to, take the 2 points in the offense sheet that gives you extra damage to minions and monsters. Ideally you don't need to take those because you're good enough at last hitting that you don't need the extra 4 damage buffer, but if you find that you're missing creeps by 4 HP a lot, like ideally for practice you wouldn't really take that mastery, but sometimes you just want the longer last hit range so that you can position better. Like, you're just missing a lot of CS right now. But so sometimes you do want that mastery so that you have a longer last hit range so that you can choose when you're going to last hit a creep, so you have more flexibility there. But generally you're probably not going to want it. But if you're like trying to do well right now as opposed to like trying to practice, definitely take that mastery. Or if you get to the point where you don't think that you have enough flexibility and when you're able to trade versus when you have to take last hits, then you can also take the mastery, so you can take last hits earlier and then trade later. Now would actually be a pretty good time for you to go back. The wave is pushing to their tower, and Vayne is very bad at pushing, so she's not going to be able to push it all the way to your tower that easily. So you're probably banking enough for 475. Okay, you don't quite have enough for D-Blade plus boots. So maybe kill that last creep, and now you should definitely go back, and you should get at least a D-Blade, just to have that extra survivability, have that extra health, have that extra AD. It'll help you with your last hitting, it'll help you with your sustain. You already have a Vamp Scepter, but the additional sustain still helps. And then having the extra health is really big, because they have a Shen and Alistar. That means that if Alistar flashes on top of you, and then Qs you, and then Ws you in the other direction, if you don't react to that fast enough, then you're going to get chain CC'd into a Shen taunt, because Shen will ult the Alistar. So you really want to have some more HP. So just go back and get the D-Blade. Since you didn't go back, you're going to be at a pretty big disadvantage, and you really just have to keep farming. Just ask Evelyn for ganks, ask Jax for ganks. Evelyn would love to gank bot lane. She doesn't, like, Evelyn falls behind if she can't gank a lane. So, like, asking Evelyn for ganks, she wants to do that anyway. You should be really careful about him doubling you into the wall. E out, E out, E out. That wasn't a max range E. That was a good flash, but it shouldn't have been necessary. You should have max range E out of that. And you really need this warded. If you had gone back, Taric would have wards. And then, or if Taric hadn't gone back, like, you could have bought a ward. If your support is refusing to buy a ward, just buy a ward. Like, you really want to have vision into that bush. Especially against an Alistar, because, like, you want to know where he's standing. You want to be able to hit him back. Ignite Vayne. If you'd ignited her and hit your ult, she was probably dead just then. if you had more mana, you probably wouldn't be able to kill anyway. It's generally, if you are trying to ult them, you don't want them to see your ult, because then they're going to be able to dodge it, no problem. And just there, like, Alistar could have flashed on top of you, and I don't think you have mana for E right now even. Okay, I guess you barely have mana for E, but he could have flashed on top of you, and Q'd you, and then headbutted you this way. And I think at the very beginning, you were just shy of the amount of mana that you needed for your E. Try not to let Vayne get her solo builds proc off on you. Like, if she gets 2 auto attacks on you, you might want to just back off. Like, you're okay with the lane pushing all the way to tower. Taric can help you with last assist under tower. You don't have, like, you're standing in a pretty bad place right now because you don't have vision right here, in this bush. I don't really know why Taric just ulted. So this is like a pretty bad spot for you, and you'd almost rather be pushed to tower. Like Alistar, again, Alistar's level 7, they can turret dive you really easily right now. If he just flashes and then headbutts you into the wall and then pulverizes you and then Vayne condemns you, like, that's a massive amount of CC, and you're just immediately dead for that. Just, like, they're not doing it, but don't follow up on that. That was a bad time to follow up because, again, Alistar can just flash and then kill you, and Taric didn't even have mana for his W. That was a silly stun on his part. He should be saving his stun for disengage at this point because they just have so much CC. But yeah, like I was saying, just because they're not playing aggressively doesn't mean that this lane isn't capable of doing that. So you should have a lot of respect for the amount of CC that they can have just by flashing and then pinning you against the wall. So try to stand somewhere in the middle of the lane. If Alistar's on the right side of the lane, try to stand on the right side of the lane. If Alistar's on the left side of the lane, try to stand on the left side of the lane so that he can't flash forward and then polarize you into the opposite wall. He would have to sort of flash diagonally, and then he wouldn't be able to get a good angle. And you should really still just be asking for help out because you need to go back and buy soon. Excuse me. Like, you want to be able to play somewhat aggressively against Vayne, and because you don't have any items, you're unable to do that. And so Vayne is just snowballing really hard. And then on top of that, she's utility spec. So all of these trades, like, she's just getting more gold. Okay, Taric should have flashed stun there. I think I'm pretty sure he was in flash stun range, and you probably would have been able to. You might not have been able to get a kill, but you would have definitely been able to send her back, and you really just want to be able to send her back. I would even just ult these creeps, and then just go home and buy. You probably have enough for a BF sword. Yeah, you have enough for a BF sword. That's going to make you much more able to trade. You're much more able to trade aggressively. Also, one thing against Alistar, it's a good idea to have a lot of move speed. In particular, I have. Okay, that ult was probably a misclick, but you didn't really have anything to ult there. If you're like trying to steal his red buff or something, that wasn't. I don't know. I was just assuming that was a misclick. Okay, yeah, that's a good buy. Hopefully your support is able to get the wards for you when you're behind, but if not, like, if your support is close to a big item, I guess your Taric isn't even going back. Taric should be going back. But yeah, like I was saying, having a lot of move speed against an Alistar is really good so that you can get poke off on him, but stay out of his engage range. And that way he can't gap close up to you by just walking up to you. I have no idea why he just exhausted you. But because he just exhausted you, like, if Taric stayed, you might be able to do well against Vayne right now because you have the summoner disadvantage. And like I was saying earlier, Vayne not having cleanse means that you guys are able to do pretty well because you can exhaust her. Because the point is that she doesn't really have upfront burst the way you do, so ideally you're going to be able to get your upfront burst off, and then she's not going to be able to get good sustained damage because you exhaust her. So, like, that's one of the reasons you want to run cleanse on Vayne. Also, her laning isn't likely to make her able to convert kills anyway, so, like, the only reason that you take Ignite instead of Cleanse on a carry is that you want to be able to convert kills in lane.